Welcome back to the Melodic Caring Project. Today we're in Illinois to connect with our new friend, Joe George. Joe tells us about some of his music adventures and talks about music as sharing. He also plays and dedicates a fantastic original song to our rock stars and hospitals. Let's go! Joining us from his studio in Chicago, we have singer, songwriter, composer, Joe George. How are you?
Hey, man. I'm great. How are you? It's glad to be here. Thanks so much for having me. Super happy to be here.
Man, stoked to have you and appreciate you making time for us. Tell me how things are for you right now. What's happening in your world?
Yeah, things, are things are great. I am fortunate to be healthy, and my family and the people around me, we're all fortunate and grateful to be rocking through this thing. I've been, all my touring, all my shows were canceled, of course, everything, for the whole year and probably then some.
Yeah.
All canceled. So time to focus on being at home, being in the studio, recording new music, getting new ideas, and just making it work and trying to stay positive and stay productive and stay good with everything and reach out and make sure everybody's doing okay. And so I've been good. I've been positive.
Good. And how's the adaptation been? You, like you say, you were touring, performing, musician, now home. You've got kind of an informational series on YouTube that's fantastic. How did that whole transition happen, and how's it feel?
Yeah, it feels good. It honestly felt pretty natural, like the first few days were kind of weird, and then it's like, okay, just there's that immediate kind of like phase of like acceptance. It was like, okay, accept that, because for like 2 seconds I'm like, oh, but maybe this tour is not going to get canceled, or maybe this tour is in October or September, whatever it is. Maybe, that one will be okay, right? Yeah, sure. And then it's like 2 seconds later, you're like, no, it's not. Everything's, so it's like, okay, accepting, taking a breath, taking a step back, and like, things are canceled. Your livelihood is flipped. Figure out how to make it work. And so, yeah, that stuff on YouTube has been great because obviously I can just film stuff here, let it out, and anybody who wants to pay attention can pay attention. I can share stories about music history that I'm an enthusiast about, or I can share musical ideas. I've been giving lessons on Zoom and lessons on YouTube as well. So the adaptation has been, it's been pretty natural, I would say.
Well, man, yeah, I wonder, as a film composer, right, you are tasked with creating emotion and bringing in, kind of that, whatever that is, the vibe or the ambience or the feeling that will go with a certain scene. How is that? I would think almost be therapeutic for you, right? Where now you have all these emotions you might not know what to do with, but you can express them through melody or music and create your own soundtrack for this experience. I would love to know what your soundtrack has been for the last 3 months,
Yeah, I'll send you some stuff, and that's very that's accurate. It has been liberating in a way, and for me, like creating just like a kind of a sonic world around something, like you're saying, if it's not for or for film, it's for a certain character, for a certain scene, or for a certain emotion, but for this whole thing, it's just kind of like this collective emotion that I've had, and it doesn't have to be so specific, which has been good. With songwriting, it's like, here's my verse, here's what the song's about, because my verse says X, Y, and Z. With this, it's kind of like, it can be more general. It can be a world that people can, hopefully kind of like tap into and relate to in different ways, other than having a lyric driven in their face,
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, you're creating. It's almost like an invitation rather than a statement, right? Or you're creating a space where you can say, now you bring your whatever that is, interpretation or your experience or your emotion to this space that you've created that's a safe place for them to express themselves.
I like that. I think I might use that.
Well, Matt, I would love to hear what is the strangest or the most unexpected connection you've had through music that you just wouldn't have seen coming,
The strangest,
or maybe strangest isn't the word, but just maybe the most
yeah,
unexpected connection you've had with somebody that you didn't see coming, but music inspired, a bridge or a doorway that opened up because of it.
I see. Yeah, totally. In my world and in my work and in my process, that is really, music seems to drive all of those kind of connections and all of those doors to be opened up with new relationships and new families and new people and everything. There have been some pretty surprising or unexpected. There was a moment a couple years ago where I was at this place in California, and there was a person. I was a heavy metal fan when I was a kid, so I listened to Metallica, Pantera, and Megadeth, and these heavy metal bands.
Yeah.
And the bass player in Pantera was at this place that I was at, and I see him over there, and I'm like, oh wow, that's Rex Brown, and he looks over at me across the room, and he points right at me and walks up to me, and he says, "Dude, you're Joe. I've seen your videos on YouTube." And I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
sweet. And so it was like, it was like this really great like connection where I wasn't gonna walk up to him and say,
Yeah.
say, I'm a big fan, whatever. And he was like, "I've seen your videos, man. You're a great player." I'm like, "What? Wow." And then he's like, "Can I call you? Can I give you a call and talk about stuff?" Exchange numbers. He asked me to join his band. A few months later, we go on tour in Europe together. It was like this door that opened up into this whole rock and roll, adventure. And it was
Wow.
and it was so cool. And that, and that's the power of music, just
Yeah.
to make somebody's heart, beat in a certain way and click and glow in a way that you can make that connection. It's like, it's the most beautiful thing.
So tell me, with music and your history of music and the way it's informed you in your life, do you have a single word that you can wrap up what music means to you?
A single word. It would have to be share or sharing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sharing, I think, is most important. Sharing, the embodiment of what sharing is can be pursued in so many aspects of how we do things and how I like to do things. Some of the stuff that we're talking about right now about careers and expectations and pressure and all that, a big part of my success or my forward motion, like you just pointed out, was being able to share to whoever wants to listen. And sharing ideas is so important. And with the reverb videos I do on YouTube and stuff, I was very hesitant to start doing that when those folks reached out to me about being that person, that kind of, like, for lack of a better term, YouTube personality. And I was like, I think you're going to find somebody better than me to do this. I don't think this is for me. And they kind of like kept slightly convincing me, like, I think you should do it, And then when I realized that, like, oh yeah, all I'm doing is sharing. And so I can be good at that. I can actually be good at that. I can share how to play this solo. I can share story. I can share some cool part of a music history or genre or whatever. And so sharing from the artist creative standpoint and every other aspect around the circle of your process, of my process, that's the word.
Well, man, speaking of sharing and the power of sharing through music, do you have a song you would like to share with our rock stars that are watching?
Yes, I would love to. Yeah, I would like to share a song. I'm going to grab my guitar here. And this is a song that I wrote a couple years ago about not being afraid of yourself. And it's a mantra that has recurred for me many times, and I always try to remember it. And so, yeah, I'd love to dedicate this song to these rock stars: Ambee in Michigan, Annie in Arizona, Mason down in Texas, Tommy in Scotland, and Paige in Florida. And to all the kids watching at Ronald McDonald House in Washington and Alaska, There With Care in Colorado, AdventHealth in Tampa, Sydney's Children's in Australia, Starlight Children's Foundation, Floating Hospital for Children at Tufts Medical Center in Boston, where I went to school, and Seacrest Studios. So this is a song called Don't Be Afraid of Yourself. When I was young, I wondered how I'd live my days, and if I could go back there, I know what I'd say. Don't be afraid of yourself. I had a dream, I saw me singing songs with you, and when I was done, I told me what to do. I said, don't be afraid of yourself. 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 Time has gone by in a hurry, and I worry of some things to come. Life has a way of weighing down enough to make you think it's all on you. So don't be afraid of yourself.
Very nice, man. Very nice. Poignant song. When did you write that?
Thank you. Thank you. I wrote this a couple years ago. A couple years ago, I did a project where I set out to release a song with a video every month of the year. And I was really struggling in that January of like starting the project, just like starting with the first song. Mm-hmm. Even I had a few songs written. I was just trying to decide like what, you know, and then this one came along, and then I wrote this, and it seemed very appropriate to have this one start the project.
Yeah.
Stop being afraid of yourself. Stop being afraid of this project that you already said you were going to do, and you already told people you're going to do this. You told yourself, so stop being afraid of yourself and make this the start, you know? So yeah. And the recording went great, and I had a string quartet on the recording as well. So nice kind of like lush, you know, going on. And so, yeah.
Beautiful. I think, like I say, super poignant, you know, because a lot of times we're our own worst critics or our own worst enemies, you know, so allowing yourself to just be, you know.
Absolutely, man.
Beautiful.
Every day. Yeah.
Man, any final words you want to leave with the rock stars and the folks that are watching?
Man, the rock stars, you are, you know, you guys are heroes. You're inspiring, and I wish that, or I look forward to the time when we can do something like this in person, and I would love to sing some songs for you, wherever that may be, face to face, person to person. Whenever we can do that again, let's do it. Keep doing what you're doing, stay positive, and be you. You are cool, and you're awesome, and you're inspiring, and I know that when I can meet you, I'm going to look up to you. So keep doing it.
Thanks so much for tuning in. If you're a musician and would like to join us in supporting hospitalized kids, email us at rockstar@melodiccaring.org. I'm Levi Ware, and this is the Melodic Caring Project.